All right, you want me to start the timer?
Yeah, it's
And
recording.
I'll,
I have it here. So this is the coaching plan for Jennifer Vincent, and grade level is 9 to 12. The first one was the coaching focus, 2 to 3 identified areas of growth, which I addressed and would most improve the teacher's practice. One was engaging the students in regards to the project as a new project idea. A memorable way to begin this project idea could have been with a poem about me, which could be downloaded from the internet. Two, allowing for ownership of learning, example in the process and idea reviews. Um, and the information from the day before could have been reviewed with the students in regards to the rules. So basically review the rules. And three, more use of technology to engage the students, particularly with the About Me project.
mhm.
And have students use different applications, and maybe even have a competition for the most creative presentation. And following that would be, allowing the classmates to evaluate the work as well and comment on the improvements, to learn a little bit more, and maintaining the, as well, in general, in regards to the classroom, maintaining the routine, to send a positive message, particularly with the rules that might have been reviewed the day before, and continuing to review those rules as the first thing that could have been done during the class. Now, in regards to the reflective questions, the specific goals for the teachers and development and improvement. One, I would say visually create a posters and outline rules for the class to follow. These displays should be added, as they break down the information into smaller parts. And it makes it easier for the students to be able to visually see what the rules are, versus trying to remember. These visuals also stimulate the emotions and can dive into motivation. And so, according to the research, norms of decor is 20 to 50%, and 50% of the space should be clear, but 20% could be decorated. Two, engaging the students more to help establish a better teacher relationship versus talking more than the students. And through the engagement of the students, having them participate more as the end goal, but also to become more self-sufficient. Um, what words, thinking about what words work in the classroom and what don't work. And the questions can also, other questions that you could ask the students to motivate them is, how can I improve within the classroom? For myself as the teacher, how can I improve my professional development? And then also thinking about fostering better relationship with the students. What are the steps that we can take? And then really, what is my best and my worst moment in class, and what can I do to work on it? And that good moment, maybe how to make that last throughout the day. Like, so
Right.
now the norms as well, again, creating the rules and having them so they're very visual. Uh, there was a moment when the student arrived late, but those rules could have been pointed out and drawn. There could have been some kind of poster board for the students to be aware of what the rules are and also to remember. Now,
Mhm.
with the procedures, making the information meaningful, through interaction, reflecting on the students' achievements. Another thing could also be, that's very making the classroom a little more inviting and warm for the students to feel more at home and be able to participate a little more. And then, in the morning too, um, praising the students for arriving to class on time, and understanding as well of how to move from one activity to the other. There seemed to be a little bit of an issue with changing activities, but using signals and cues, and teaching them
So
those
better transitions.
for the transitions. Thank you so much. And then, being able to manage those transitions through signals again, and what's happening throughout the day as well. Being prepared from the beginning of class and letting them know what was going to happen step by step. Um, and in regards to, the high goal that we're looking at in general is to establish a class that is self-sustaining, and making the students feel personally connected to the learning and a
Right.
sense of wanting to collaborate. And so in general, with the collaboration, it seemed that you talk more than the students were speaking, but they really, maybe, the issue there, or what could have happened is more questions as well, asking more questions, and then engaging them through tools and 21st century tools that could have been used, and suggesting to them, for their presentation, what other ways could this presentation be even better?
Mhm.
21st century tools or drawings, some kind of creative activity that could have been taken out. And then create a list of, for the weeks, and how to make this happen is creating a list of what isn't working, and then brainstorming ideas, working together with the students to work on new ideas that will actually work. And then, this could be done every evening, every afternoon at the end of the class, just simply answering the basic questions, which we had talked about before, of, what was the best and my worst moment of the day? How can I fix this? But working on those questions and asking yourself every day. And from week to week, start maybe week 1 and week 2, asking them every afternoon at the end of the class, and then on a weekly basis, followed by a monthly basis. And then the monitoring, like I said, same kind of where you check yourself every afternoon by asking.
Yeah, and adjusting the lessons kind of as you go.
Exactly. And then plan for follow-up is just really trying to work on those specific issues, and maybe creating rules, and working on those rules, and having some kind of visual reminder of what needs to be worked on.
Okay, well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
So do we pause this or do we just go on?
You want to go on?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me reset the timer. Okay, so I am reviewing Carmen Ulahan,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is the 3rd through 5th grade level. Excuse me. So I watched a reading lesson, by the look of it, where the kids were encouraged to find and read new chapter books. So the coaching focus that I have for you is to control the interruptions and digressions from your students, to improve the student engagement, to improve the overall classroom layout for the different group activities and single activities, and to build vocabulary of those newly learned words. So
It's a great one.
yeah, so what I noticed is there were a lot of little words and stuff that the students would stumble over, but you kind of just go on. So we'll work on that in a little bit. So to reflect, I want you to consider how would you better manage your students' interruptions during your lectures? How can you improve your students' engagement level during the lessons? Because it seemed like some of them were on task and some of them weren't. And how can you improve the arrangement of your classroom to better suit the lessons that you're going to do? Is that something that needs to be permanent, or does it need to be done on a weekly rotation or something of that sort? Also, how can you help your students to understand those new words that they're encountering in those chapter books? So the strategies that I have to recommend in this case is in the classroom to establish some behavioral norms with the students, including interruptions and signaling. It was hard to tell on the video whether or not students were raising their hands before they would volunteer answers and things of that sort. There were a couple of verbal cues that were very good that I recognized to gain the class's attention, and perhaps just something that works off of that. Continuing to reinforce those established classroom procedures in order to promote your students' engagement level and the familiarity with the classroom and its procedures and structure. Of course, again, to modify the classroom's layout to facilitate your transitions, and establish and post expectations of the students and their progress. Like if you had something that indicated, how well a certain student was doing, perhaps they could kind of self-monitor in that regard. And establish a method of teaching and understanding new words that they'll encounter during the reading. So I have put together a timeline. I'll go ahead and email that to you. and there is a monitoring plan for you. And you'll need to be aware of what tools that you implement that are helping the students with the engagement and their progress. And that's going to involve self-observation, or you can have a co-teacher to assist, whether it's stepping into a classroom or watching a recorded video, or having an aide within the classroom to do so. And that way you can see the students' engagement level from kind of all sides instead of just a single focus, which is, you know, in the front of your classroom. And then the follow-up would be that you can request either a mentor or colleague to conduct observations and make suggestions for improvement, just like we're doing now. And you can do that on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, depending on the frequency of your classes, of course, and the needs of, you know, your specific class and the students that you have within that class. For Pete's sake. I've run out of words and I think I'm out of time too.
This is great. This is great. I'll stop the recording.
All right.